and welcome to CFSB. We're so glad that you have decided to join our team and our CFSB family. You've made the right decision, I assure you. As part of the very first basically assignment that you have as a CFSB team member, we do mystery shopping. And I'm sure that you have heard all about our mystery shopping program, but what today will function as is your mystery shopping orientation, and actually a little bit of a jump into some training on some of the standards that we as CFSB team members are held accountable to upholding, namely our phone standards and our in-location greeting standards. But before we get there, let's talk a little bit about why we mystery shop in the first place. Mystery shopping is a way for us to be held accountable to the standards that we claim to value. It's also a way for us to standardize the client experience across all of our banking centers and all of our call-in locations, which is very important that client experience is the same no matter which banking center you choose. But most importantly, mystery shopping serves for us at CFSB as an excuse to celebrate the successes of team members in a crazy way. Something that you may not know yet is that CFSB is crazy about having parties and potlucks and all kinds of fun things for those that do it right, basically. We do value performance. We value, like we said, holding those client standards and pursuing excellence in everything we do. But when we do it right, we go crazy and we celebrate the team members that are doing things the right way. So in order to make sure our celebrations are as specific as possible and that they're fully warranted, we have to do things like mystery shopping so that we have all kinds of great reasons to celebrate our team members. So the more honest your feedback is, the more honestly and specifically we can celebrate those that are doing this thing the right way. So make sure you're very, very honest in your mystery shopping, your feedback that you give us. One thing that it's very important that you realize we don't do is our mystery shopping results are totally anonymous. There's no way for anybody to know what your feedback was specifically as opposed to somebody else's feedback. There's no way for us to know really exactly when you decide to go to a location or who you brought with you or what questions you asked. We keep it as anonymous as possible, and that's just to make sure that you feel okay in giving super honest feedback. But the second thing is that our mystery shopping results are never ever used to discourage a team member. They're never used to get somebody in trouble. They're never used to give constructive criticism that's not really constructive, if that makes sense. At a lot of other institutions or just employers in general, whenever mystery shopping results are released, a lot of times there's a wave of discipline that goes out whenever folks don't do so well. And that's just not our culture. That's not how we do things at CFSB. So rest assured, that's not what any of your feedback or your comments will be used for. Even if somebody totally bombs a mystery shop, what we're going to do is celebrate the folks that do it the right way, and then maybe bring them alongside their peers in such a way that it elevates that next round score for the team member that didn't do so well this go around. And there's a place for constructive criticism, but either way, don't ever feel like your feedback is going to cost somebody their job or get them in any kind of big trouble, because that's not what we're about. We just want to celebrate the folks that do it the right way. So another neat benefit of mystery shopping, and probably my favorite part for you as a new team member, is that you get to experience the radical difference in CFSB and some of our competition. So what's going to happen is when you go to these other locations, you'll notice that they do things a certain way. Our competition, they have their quirks and they have their way of doing business. And then you'll go to CFSB and you'll immediately compare and notice that there's a big difference in how we do banking and how we approach our clients, how we do the client experience. So it's very valuable for you to have that experience, because you need to know that CFSB is on a different playing field. We're on a different level than a lot of our competition and a lot of our peers. And that's a good thing, because we want you to be confident in the fact that you made the right choice, which you did. But mystery shopping helps to kind of cement decision for a lot of folks, as you'll see that CFSB is the very best. Okay, so mystery shopping is split into two halves. You have your phone shops, which very simply is you call into a lot of our locations or through our client service center, and you'll go through a form and make sure that we're having those conversations the right way. And the other half is our in-location shopping. And that's a little bit different, but it similarly is exactly what it sounds like. You're going to go into several of our locations, fill out a form, and make sure we're doing things the right way there. It's very important that you check for a few specific things outside of the form itself. We'll start with in-location shopping. This is the in-location shopping form, if you can see it, and you should have copies of these. It's 2 pages. Some of you may have them front and back, some may not, but either way, the in-location shopping form is very qualitative. There's a lot of questions on here about with yes or no type questions, ranking from exceptional to terrible, that sort of thing. Did the team member do any of these things? Did they not do any things? What things can we improve on? But the most important section on the in-location shopping form is at the very end, and there's a blank space for comments. That's what's most valuable for us on feedback, is when you can give honest feedback that's not structured by any kind of form or question. So make sure you're paying attention to things like noise level, smell, just the overall vibe and the feeling that you get walking into the lobby, how you felt when you walked in, how you felt when you left, any other conversations you heard going on, whether it's between team members or between a team member and a client. Literally nothing is off the table. So just give really good feedback in that comment section, and that's going to help us move forward and standardize that client experience. The in-location shopping forms, like I said, are pretty self-explanatory. It is really important that you note which locations you visit. We ask that you choose 4 locations among any of our banking centers. So depending on where you're located, depending on if you have met certain team members that work at a certain location, we would advise that you probably don't visit those locations that folks know you at, and kind of branch out. Say if you're going to work in Callaway County or Murray, maybe go visit Paducah if those people don't know you very well. We certainly also advise that you kind of split up your mystery shopping. Don't necessarily think you have to do it all in one day. Don't think that you have to do it all at the same time of day. Be as kind of incognito as you can be. Take your family with you. Take friends with you. Wear casual clothing. Make sure I'm in casual gear today. This would be a great look for mystery shopping, except for maybe the financial coach sticker on here. But either way, it's good that you be as mysterious as a shopper as you possibly can. So don't feel like you have to fit in any kind of box there. Let's see what else. So on in-location shopping, it's also incredibly important that you note whether or not our team members have a name tag on. Our name tags change sometimes, but they're usually black, and they have a name on them in CFSB. So it's super important that our team members always wear their name tags. It's very, very important that you use that name tag or ask the team member if they don't have their name tag what their name is, so that you can put that information on the sheet. Because obviously we want to give credit to the right person, and we want to make sure that when we celebrate somebody, we're celebrating in the right direction. So make sure you get the name. And make sure too that whenever you go into a location, you're going to be able to make up your own scenario, your own situation, and it's important that you fully think through that situation. So if you're going to ask about checking accounts, it's important that you know why you're asking about a checking account. And if you're making up a name or something, make sure that you don't forget to make up your last name. Don't forget to make up your spouse's name, your kids' names, that sort of thing. And you can use your real name if you want to, but just as an example, whatever your situation is that you're approaching the mystery shopping scenario with, make sure you really flesh that out and have some good answers for the folks that ask you questions. So I think that's enough on the in-location shopping. Yes, it is. Okay, so the next part is our phone shopping. And this is going to take a little bit more time to walk through. This is the mystery shopping form for the phone shops. You'll see it's numbered 1 through 10, and it's kind of the checklist format. And we're just going to walk through all of these 10 steps real quick. And this also kind of functions as your first foray into phone training. We're very particular about how we speak to our clients. We're very particular about how we answer the phones and some of the things that we do that brand CFSB the right way, so that our clients get a continuous and standardized experience every time they call in. The phone shopping, similar to in-location shopping, we just want you to reach out to CFSB 4 times. And it would be best if you do a little research, go to cfsbky.com or yourlifeyourbank.com, and just kind of look through the website, generate a few questions, and look for any phone number that you can find on that website. Or if you know direct phone numbers or anything like that. I'm not going to tell you the phone numbers to call, but call in 4 times, whether it's through the client service center or directly to a location, that's your choice, and ask a question that you would find typical of a client calling into a bank, or somebody that's new to the area or needs some general advising or something like that, whatever they would ask of a bank. There's a good chance when you call in, if you go through the client service center, you may stay in the client service center. You may not be transferred somewhere else. If you are transferred, it's important to know where you're being transferred to, so just make sure you note that as well. What else? Let's think. Okay, so on the mystery shopping form at the top, you have person shopped. So make sure that you ask the name. They should be giving it to you. Make sure you note the date and the time that you're calling. This one's really important. And then also what number you use to call. And if you are transferred to a location, it says bank branch. We don't call our locations branches. But note if you're transferred where you're going to there. If you make an attempt to call and you don't get an answer, there's an attempts spot here. Make sure you note the time that you attempted to call, and that also gives us good feedback. If we're not answering the phones within a certain window or time of day, that's a good indication that we need to look at our staffing model for that time of day, or that somebody's having phone difficulties we need to address, or whatever it might be. Either way, make sure you note that. That's still very good feedback. And make a note of what question you asked as well on here. Okay, so out of the 10, we'll just go through, like I said. Before we get there, though, note that this is just a check or an X. So if the team member does a good job of a particular step, you're going to just put a check. And if they miss something, then just put an X. And then we'll worry about scoring it later. So number 1 is that we answer the phones in 2 to 3 rings. If everyone's had that experience where you make a phone call and whoever you're calling answers the phone on their end before it ever rings back on your end, sometimes that can throw you off and make you forget what you're calling about. So we coach our team members to wait until the second ring and then pick up the phone. It's also important that we don't wait too long to pick up the phone, because it gives the impression that we're either too busy to help the client, or that we are a little bit lazy in answering the phones. So the sweet spot is 2 to 3 rings. We don't necessarily want to penalize our team members if they are answering on the first ring, but if they wait past the 3rd ring, that's going to be an X on that one. So 2 to 3 rings is the best. Number 2 is that we give a standardized greeting. We identify our name, the team, CFSB, and we give an offer to help. So that sounds like, "Thanks for calling CFSB. This is Cody. How can I help you?" That's pretty typical across all of our teams. What we're not looking for is something like marketing. If someone answers the phones and they just say marketing, that's not exactly what we're hoping for. We want to do, "Thanks for calling CFSB. This is Cody. How can I help you?" Those kind of 3 parts. And again, if they get it, check. If not, that's an X. Number 3 is that we use the client's name at least once in the conversation. It's best when you call if you don't outright just give your name. If you're like me, you're in the habit of doing that anyway, but try and avoid that so that the team member has an opportunity to ask for your name. The way that typically works is the phone will ring, we give our greeting, and then you, the caller, will say, hey, I'm needing information on your location hours or something like that. And then our team members will come back and say, absolutely, I'd love to help you with that. First, can I get your name? And then you would give your name. And that's in an ideal world how that would work. If you do give your name at the beginning, so you say, hey, this is Cody. I'm actually calling to see what your location hours are. That's okay. Not the best, but it's okay. The team members should then use your name again. So say, absolutely, Cody, I'd be happy to help you with that. And that would also count for using the name again. So number 3, very simple. If you hear your name, check. If not, X. Number 4, if you're put on hold, we have a standardized procedure for that. The first of the 3 subparts of this one are, we asked your permission to be put on hold. We don't want the hold please experience. That's going to sound like, hey, Cody, I'd be happy to get those location hours for you, but I want to double check myself real quick. Would you mind if I put you on a brief hold and then I'll get right back with you? And the client is either going to say yes or no to that. If they say no, then what we want to do is offer a callback. If they want us to call them at a certain time or follow up, that's okay. But we want to give them the option because typically the person either really does want to be put on hold so that they can get a quick answer, or they're in a hurry and they need a call back instead. We just want to give them the option. The second part is that the caller is only left on hold for 30 seconds or so. Our phones are actually set to ring back at about 25 seconds, so they'll beep it and let us know that 30-second interval is coming up pretty quick. If this is one that it's not about you counting to 30 to see if the team member has put you on hold for longer than that. Generally, this is just about a feeling. If you feel like you've been on hold for a long time, there's a good chance it's been over 30 seconds. And if you don't really notice and the team member picks back up, that's probably less than 30 seconds. So that doesn't have to be a hard number. But either way, we don't want to put you on hold for a long time, is essentially what we're saying. And the third part is when we pick the phone back up, we should say, thank you for holding. Very simple. Now, if they had to put you back on hold, what that would look like is, hey, Cody, I'm still trying to get those location hours. I appreciate you holding. Would you mind if I put you back on hold for just a few more seconds, and I'll continue to work on that for you, then I'll be right back. And then they would say yes or no, you put them back on hold, and we kind of rinse and repeat the cycle again. And that's okay. After a few times through that, it's probably best if we offer a callback instead, because we don't want the client holding for too long. But either way, we just want to give them the option. So 3 parts: we ask permission, we only put them on hold for 30 seconds, and then we thank them for holding once we pick the phone back up. Number 5 is the avoidance of NT words. And essentially this is negative words. And what we're hoping to do is give a positive phone experience. So a good way to measure that is the occurrence of negative words, things like can't, won't, shouldn't, don't, that's not my job, whatever. No one's going to say that, I hope. But in general, what we're trying to do is make sure we're stating things in terms of what we can do instead of what we can't do for the client. So, like I said, a good way to measure that is how many times we're saying things like can't, shouldn't, won't. This question is not about whether we slip up and say a word. What this is really asking is, was the call positive? Did we state things in terms of what we can do instead of what we can't do? A good example of a question that could go south is, does your location have a coin machine? Some of our locations do and some don't. The ones that don't have been coached to answer that question. Would say, we do have coin machines. They're located in such and such and such and such. The incorrect way to answer that question was, we actually don't have a coin machine at our location, but we have them at such and such and such and such. The point here is that it's really useless to the client to know where the coin machine isn't. They just need to know where the coin machine is. So skip the part where we say we don't or we can't or we shouldn't, and just skip straight to the what we can do part. It's more efficient and it makes the call feel better. So number 5 really, in essence, is, did you feel like the call was positive? Or are we saying what we can do instead of what we can't do? Number 6 is, about transfers. And there's a good chance you won't be transferred because the questions you're asking are probably going to be pretty basic and frontline friendly. But if you are transferred, what we're hoping for is that you're only transferred one time and that you are not having to retell your story, essentially. So if you're transferred, you shouldn't bounce around. We've all had that experience. And the person that you're being transferred to, by the time you get there, is the client should already know what your situation is, what your name is, what you're needing, all that kind of thing. So as a team member, what I'm going to do is when I put you on hold following the hold procedures in step 4, what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump on the phone with Alan or somebody, whoever I'm transferring you to, and I'm going to say, Alan, I've got so-and-so on hold. This is what they're needing. I think you can help them out. I'm going to transfer them over to you if you're available. And then when I transfer you, the client, you're going to get an experience that's very different from what it would have been. You're going to get, hey, Cody, so-and-so let me know that this is exactly what you're calling in about. I just want you to know I'd be happy to help you with that. And here's the response. So only transfer once, and you should not have to re-explain yourself. That's number 6. Number 7 is another kind of qualitative feeling type question. Was the team member confident, competent, and enthusiastic on the call? In short, for you Winnie the Pooh fans out there, this is just, we want Tiggers, not Eeyores, essentially. We don't want that Eeyore experience where it's the oh bother and it's Monday or whatever. We don't have that here anyway. CFSB is not a place that is boring or unenthusiastic. So that typically is not something we struggle with. But it's important to note that confidence and competence are not necessarily related to years of experience or product knowledge. So if you do get somebody that's brand new, or for you, whenever you answer the phone the first several times, just know that you can be totally confident and totally competent in somebody else's ability to answer the client's question correctly. There's nothing wrong with transferring a question that you don't know the answer to, or getting help, putting the client on hold and getting help and answering the question. You can remain totally confident throughout that entire process, and that's totally fine. What we don't want is the experience where we're saying things like, well, I don't know, or I'm new here, or you're generally just second guessing yourself or giving the impression that we don't know what we're doing, that sort of thing. You're a banker, you're an expert, in that you're a part of a team that's been around for over 125 years. So find somebody. We don't think we have many 125-year-olds running around here, but we do have some folks that know more than what I do and what you do, most likely. So find them, get some help, and just be really confident and upbeat and enthusiastic about their response and the fact that they can help you. Typically, you'll know very, very quickly whether we do number 7 well or not, and we usually do it super well. Number 8, asking needs questions is incredibly important. This is the difference in CFSB as far as going above and beyond in the conversation and the sales process. This is where we uncover the real reason the client's calling. So, a perfect example of this is a client calls in and asks about savings accounts. If we never find out what precisely they're saving for, we have done that client a major disservice, because depending on what their goals are, a savings account may actually help or hurt them. They may need to be with CFSB Investments. They need to be with a trust advisor. They might need to be looking at CD options or a checking account or whatever, depending on what their goals are. So we have to ask questions to uncover those goals and those real needs beyond what the client is making come out of their mouth, essentially. Another example would be the coin machine. A lot of times people cash coin in because they're saving for something like a vacation or Christmas or whatever. And we need to know that, because there are additional ways we can help them that we may not ever get to if we don't ask the right questions. So the way you know whether you've been asked a needs-based question or not is, did you find yourself during the call explaining why you asked the question you asked? For example, the coin machine thing. Actually, a different example. If you're asking about location hours, if you call in and you say, hey, what are your Saturday hours this week? and we give you the hours, probably won't ask a needs-based question if that's all the call ever amounts to. But if you're finding yourself saying, yeah, the reason I'm coming in is I need to make a deposit, or I need to open an account, or something like that, then they've probably asked you a question like, well, what brings you in this Saturday? That's a great needs-based question because it's going to get the client talking about their actual need, which very rarely is the Saturday hours. Usually it's a checking account or a question or a deposit or some cash or something like that that they need beyond the hours themselves. I hope that makes sense. So a classic question that sometimes is asked that is not really a needs-based question, but that may feel like one, is what location is most convenient for you? That's a great question to ask, but it's not a needs-based question in and of itself, and here's why. If a team member asks what location is most convenient for you, you can tell them as the client, Benton is closest to my home, but we still don't actually know what you need. We just know that Benton's most convenient for you. So we need to follow it up with another question that uncovers the need in your life. So just a heads up, if you're asked that question, it's probably not going to be sufficient for number 8 in and of itself. We should pair that with another question. So when you're on the phone as a team member, make sure you're finding out why the client is asking the question they're asking. We ask questions so that we can uncover needs, so that we can meet those needs and then make people's lives better. It's very simple, and that's where banking gets really exciting, is when we can make some lives better and change the community. Needs-based questions is where that process begins. Number 9 is very, very simple. At CFSB, we ask the question, how else can I help you? Not, is there anything else I can help you with? And that's a hard habit to break because most of us grew up asking, is there anything else I can help you with? We ask, how else can I help you? Because that open-ended question that can't be answered with a yes or no tends to get people actually thinking about what they called about, whether it was met or not met, and then if there's anything else that they were needing, essentially. We find that in recorded calls, when people are asked, how else can I help you, there's actually a brief pause before they respond, which means they're thinking about it. So number 9, very simply, is you should hear our team, and if you are the team member that's on the call, you should say, how else can I help you? And then wait for a response and then respond accordingly. Number 10, the very last one, is that we should say something like, thanks for calling, have a great day. We want to make sure we thank our clients for calling in, thank them for their business. That's also very important. Let them know how much we appreciate them as clients and appreciate their confidence in our bank. And then let them know that we hope they have an excellent day. So that's the 10. Again, that's just a check or an X, and then we'll worry about the scoring on the back end. The last piece of this puzzle is similar to the in-location shopping, the comment section here at the bottom. Make sure you leave comments on all your calls because oftentimes those are the most valuable pieces of feedback we get. Things like background noise, things like static on the line, the tone of voice, the pacing at which the team member is speaking. These are all things that are really important that we know that may not actually be addressed in steps 1 through 10. So make sure that you take time to leave good comments. And this is, again, you're going to be doing four phone shops, whatever phone numbers you can find. Just test those out. Make sure you write them down. Make sure you get the client's or the team member's name whenever you call in, and just make really good notes on the calls. Really, really good notes. One thing I didn't mention is on the needs-based questions, make sure that you write down the question that they asked, because what we do is we take those and we'll take them to our retail sales meetings and kind of coach on those. And if you're a relationship banker and you ask a really good question on the mystery shopping evaluation, then what we can do is take that and teach others to ask the same question if you get good results. So try and write that question down. So that's our in-location and our mystery shopping on the phone setup. A few just kind of housekeeping items real quick. If you encounter some sort of emergency or something when you're out and about, obviously we want you to take care of that first. We do want you to get your mystery shopping done. You have a pretty good window to make that happen. But your family is going to come first. Don't feel like this takes precedence over anything else that's more important, obviously, and that should go without saying, because at CFSB, clearly, work does not come first, family does. So if you have an emergency, take care of that. Be safe when you're out there. Make sure that you aren't filling these things out while you're driving, but do complete them at the banking center location or at the same time as you make your phone calls. But just a general piece of advice: when you're doing your in-location shopping, make sure that you're filling those forms out away from an area that the team members can see you, because that does keep it a true mystery, and that's very important. Again, I can't stress enough that this is a totally anonymous process, so don't worry about that. That being said, if for some reason we have a team member that just thinks that you're a mystery shopper, they're probably not going to say anything. But if you get the vibe that they do know that you're a mystery shopper, that's okay. If you're found out, it's not a problem. Usually you'll have a good laugh with a team member about it later on down the road. But don't worry about it. This is meant to be a really valuable experience to everybody. And as you can imagine, if I know I'm being mystery shopped, I'm gonna make sure that I don't say anything, and I'm gonna knock it out of the park. So I get that 10. And most importantly, this is supposed to be really fun. So make it fun. Have your family come with you. Make a day out of it. Make a couple days out of it. Make up some fun scenarios. Use the time to meet people and see our different locations. Learn about products when you're asking about them. Ask questions that you generally want to know the answer to. But have a great time, because mystery shopping is some of the most fun conversations and some of the most fun trips that you'll probably have. And it's a blast. It's a blast. So take advantage of it and have a great few days. Whenever you get back and you start your first day, just give the mystery shopping info to someone in HR, and they will forward that to whoever needs that. Usually it's going to be me, but if something changes, then they'll get it where it needs to go. And I think that's it. I can't think of anything else. So if you do have questions, you have plenty of contacts in HR that can help you out. And if they have more specific questions, they can reach out to me or anybody else that's involved with mystery shopping. So don't feel like you're on your own in this process, because you're not. Reach out if you need some help or you have questions. And otherwise, just like we said, have a great time. And again, welcome to the best team of bankers that you'll ever be a part of. We're so glad to have you, and we're proud to know that you made the right choice. So have a blast. Thank you for being a mystery shopper, and we look forward to getting your feedback. And we look forward to working with you. You're going to have a great time here at CFSB.